What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Making It podcast with Brady Martin.
Wow, you're really loud.
I'm here with Spencer Watson.
Hello.
He likes to criticize me, but we're going to get through this.
You'll get used to it. Do I have to be as loud as you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the mic...
All right, I'll be this loud the whole time. Like I'm on a news talk morning radio show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works. I probably won't be that loud this time. That was just for the energy for the intro, you know?
Because also, for the record, that's Brady, and this is Spencer, because a lot of people say our voices sound similar, so either I'm going to have to talk like someone else, or we're going to have to designate who's talking.
Yep, for the record, this is Spencer.
No, I'm Spencer.
If you guys get confused, this voice is Spencer, and the other voice is Brady.
You're confusing everyone. I'm confused.
Wait, who are you?
Hello, I'm Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile
Now
and
you're
Aviation
really
American
confusing
Gin.
everybody.
Ryan Reynolds is not on this podcast. I wish he was.
You can't afford him.
Not yet.
All right. So, Spencer,
Yeah.
Today we are going to talk about all things acting, all things career.
Oh, God, you didn't tell me that part.
Yeah. So, let's just jump right into it.
Great.
What have you been working on recently?
What have I been
You just showed me, dude.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Brady and I produced a short over COVID. So I'm in the process of re-editing and finalizing the edit after 2 long years. Or a year. It feels like 2 years, but it's only been a year.
Yeah.
Sorry for everyone involved for making you wait so long. But yeah, I just showed him the last edit, and we're both feeling pretty good about it. So
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw. I can second that. It was definitely worth the wait. I know some of our previous edits of the short weren't as strong as this one, so I was really happy to see this one. It turned out a lot better. The shots are a lot stronger, and the shot selection was a lot better.
Yeah, I had a lot of learning to do, because I wrote, directed, and now I'm editing it as well. Because
Don't. He's a lovely person.
Our last editor wasn't there for the whole edit, so I had to kind of take that on. But it was a positive learning experience.
Yeah.
And
Lots of learning.
I bought Premiere and learned how to use it for this, and that has been a giant kick in the balls. But you know what? The more skills you have, the better. So they tell me. But
So true.
yeah, editing has been a nightmare for the most part, as pretty much anyone will tell you. But finally, after months of taking a break, I'm able to come back to it and look at it more objectively. And I've cut out a lot of stuff that I used to be so attached to just because I wrote it. And I think it's a lot stronger now.
I feel like you've had enough time to really objectively look at it, because you left it alone for so long that you were able to see it through fresh eyes.
100%.
How do you feel about that?
Totally true. And I mean, I know that was everyone's advice early on, and even lately when I would send out the first cut, people just say, maybe get someone else to look at it with fresh eyes, get another editor. And I didn't want to wish that upon anyone, so I never did. But it is true. You do have to kind of take a break and look at it with fresh eyes and not be too attached to anything. And that's definitely helped a lot.
And also, editors are ungodly expensive, because who wants to edit something for free?
Yeah, not our guy.
You
Even
were
though I
paying
paid
him,
him,
man.
I did pay him.
Yeah, no, that was...
For the record, I paid him every day.
Yep.
So.
Yep. All right. So, what do you think? So, I know you've booked a couple things.
Only a couple.
You booked quite a few things. So I was wondering about, like, what would you say is your acting process? Like, do you have a specific technique? What is that?
It's a good question, because over time, it's completely changed. I mean, when I started, I loved your podcast with Nathan, by the way. And towards the end, he mentioned you asked him kind of similar with training and his opinion on acting school.
Yeah, I called you out. I was like, "Hey, Spencer said this." I kind of put you on the
Okay,
spot, and you
well,
weren't there to like clarify.
I was gonna get there, but we don't have to. We'll get there.
Oh, that's not
No,
okay.
this
So
is a different
finish
part.
your thought on the
Thank
other
you.
one.
I did mention don't interrupt. That
Yeah.
was the one note I had for you. So glad to see you took that well.
I took it in stride.
Uh,
Still working on it.
So with training, you asked him what do you think about acting school, and he said basically that he's learned a lot and it's great, but at sometimes he wishes he could go back to being 17 because that was like he could just do anything and nobody cared. I kind of feel the same way when I started out. I felt like only I had the answer and I didn't care.
Yeah.
I wasn't aiming for anything other than what I wanted to do. So initially that was my approach. Initially that was like watching a lot of movies that I loved and a lot of actors that I loved, and I would take bits from each of them and try and put it into the performance in an interesting way. And over time with training, that's changed. I mean, with Meisner, initially it was like, okay, then my focus wasn't as much on myself. It was all on know your lines and focus on the other person and take what you need off of them and just only react off of them given the circumstances. And then, I went to another school where it was all very technical, and we were taught there's not a right way to do the scene, but there's a version of what they are looking for, and you have to try and break down the text and the scene and the script and the genre enough to be able to nail what they're looking for. So then my approach became, what are they looking for, and be that. And then this new school that I recently went to, it's like focus on the relationship and being genuine in that goal of what do you want from that person and what's your relationship with them. So long story long,
yeah.
My approach, what's my technique, I think is number one, understand your genre. You can be a great actor and completely screw up because you're way outside of the world you're in. Understand the world you're in. Jake Gyllenhaal can't do multicam. If he doesn't understand, he's going in for multicam, right?
I think Jake Gyllenhaal could do multicam.
All right, Jake, if you're listening, I'm sorry. No, I'm just saying, if you can't really picture him in multicam because of the roles he's done. But if you went into one of his roles, like you were going in for multicam, you're not understanding the genre.
Yeah.
So number one, understanding your genre.
I know what you're saying. I was just messing with you.
Yeah, I'm long-winded.
Yeah, I was like I was the semantics piece on you there.
Also, you don't want Jake Gyllenhaal to come after you after watching this.
Yeah, that's true. You mentioned the acting classes. Do you want to mention the actual studios? Because you didn't talk shit or anything, so.
Right, and I don't want to, and so maybe I shouldn't. No, I'd love
just say the positive things you learned from each. Because I know when I'm listening to a podcast, I always want to know which studios they're talking about. Sure. Because you're spending your money on these places.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for the people to know what they're going to get out of it,
You're right. And before I came in, I was questioning whether I should mention names. But I think it's good that, the whole point of this is
we're trying to help people who are like really, really starting out to have some grasp of like actions they can take. So anything that you can do to guide them in the direction.
I'll directly say what they were. I started out at Meisner with this wonderful woman named Carolyn Berry, who's no longer with us. My teacher was Heidi Dippold. She's great. She's still working. Meisner was with them. I also did improv with them. Then I went to Leslie Kahn for years, 3 or 4 years. I went through the whole program, went into ongoing. Joel Johnstone, who's on Marvelous Miss Maisel, he's one of the smartest, most talented people I know, was one of my main teachers for a long time. And Leslie Kahn is very technical. It's totally, especially coming from Meisner, where it's all supposed to be totally, basically natural. Technical was a new thing, and it felt like almost wrong until you realize what it's really about. and it's not just technical, but if you go, you'll understand. It teaches you so much about the auditioning process, the business side, tips and tricks for how to approach an audition, how to break down the text, all sorts of stuff. I don't want to go on in too much depth. Leslie Kahn was great. I highly recommend them. I still should go back to brush up. And then I studied with Tyler Powell there as well. He's also amazing.
Wait, what was the other guy you said? The Marvelous Miss Maisel?
Joel Johnston.
Johnston?
John Stone.
John Stone. Okay.
Sorry
cool.
if I'm not enunciating. And then I went to a workshop with Annie Grinley. That was awesome. Almost very kind of in the world of Leslie Kahn, and that we broke down what is missing in your audition that is on the page. That's really important. The writer and producers and director and showrunner, they write these things on the page for a reason. You should really take notice that there's an action line there. You should perform that action because that's what they're expecting to see. Yeah. If you bypass it, it seems like you're not paying attention to what they wrote. You have to do justice to what they have written. Anyway, Annie Rinley workshop, The Village with Jamie Rudofsky and Christy Faison, both cast and directors, both awesome. Learned a lot there. That was totally night and day. Leslie Kahn was like aiming for a result, and with them it was aiming for something honest with yourself, even if it's not what is exactly what you think the right version is. They like my number one note was you don't have to try and get the right version. And then I went to Ivana Chubbuck, and only for 1 month, so I can't really sum it up. But
so if you suck, don't blame it on Ivana.
I sucked. Basically, the teacher was like, how many things have you booked? How? What are you doing here? No, Ivana Chubbuck's great. It's taught me so much just in a short period of time about personalizing and yeah, I won't press the off button with my foot. So. About substitution and relationship and objective and trying to get something out of the other person, which I feel like I was missing. Yeah. So, all that said, genres number one. Who are the people in charge of the show or the movie? What have they done in the past? What is the context of the scene? What is your character's backstory? What are your relationships? What's your objective? What are your substitutions? What are your goals? What are your actions? And do you know your lines? And that's pretty much
That's a really good summary. That's really nice. That was very succinct.
And then if you're struggling, throw it all out, get the lines right, and have a relationship and some internal goal or something to put you in that moment, whatever it is. At least get the lines right, and at least don't break.
Yeah.
I also did Groundlings. I should have.
Oh yeah, you went there for a couple.
Groundlings is great. That taught me not to break and just commit, even if you're wrong. Commit to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, long story long once again.
So you've done 2 shows, Mr. Student. Done 2 shows, right? Like 2 series regular shows, right?
Yeah.
Am I missing one?
No, I'm just giving you shit.
Oh, okay.
I've done a little more than 2 shows.
No, but you were like one of the main guys on.
I was a series regular on two streaming shows, so they don't really count in the big Hollywood world. But yeah,
they count.
If you say so.
So yeah, Mr. Student Body President and Millennial Mafia, right?
Yeah. Wow, you memorized? Did you look up my IMDb before I came in?
I've known you for years.
That's true.
I just kind of want to talk about like your major takeaways from that. Because I know you had tons of pages to memorize and to work on, and I just kind of wanted you to walk us through what that process was like.
Yeah, that's great because I've never really been able to talk about either of those.
I remember when you brought so back when I lived at Scott's house, I remember when you brought in that binder with all your like markers and stuff.
Yeah.
And you had like all your notes all over the pages and stuff, and I was like, how the fuck are you gonna do that? Yeah, like it was another level of like, damn, that's the level of series regular. I remember thinking that, and I was like, okay, well, I gotta train fucking harder.
And thank God I did Leslie Kahn right before I went into that.
Yeah,
that Leslie Kahn is the reason I booked that show. I'll tell you right now. And it was very much breaking it down until you can't break it down anymore. And I had 6 different highlighters, and I literally did have a binder of all of the pages. Um, so yeah, for that, like I said, I did Leslie Kahn, and brought all of that into the audition. And I remember I went in, and it was like my second or third real audition. I was still very green.
How many callbacks were there for that audition? Was it
I
like
think
the
I got
typical,
lucky. I
like,
think there were only 2 or 3.
oh, okay.
I think I did the first one, and then there might have been one callback, and then the chemistry read.
Chemistry.
And my co-star, who played my girlfriend on the show, Camille Hyde, who's huge now, not physically, but career-wise, she's very fit, very attractive.
Large.
No, at the time, I showed up and I looked at the check-in sheet and I said, okay, that's who I'm paired with. And I went up to her and we rehearsed, and then there was a kissing scene. And I said, look, not to be weird, but do you want to just send it fully and commit and actually kiss in the scene? This is pre-COVID, obviously. It's like 2015, 2014. And she was like, yeah. And so we did. And right off the bat, we were both on the same page. And like I said, the first audition, I was very nervous, but I came in with so much specific ideas, thoughts, and an approach to this crazy, weird character that I left feeling like I totally bombed. And then I got the call back, and I was like, why did they not watch the tape? And then the chemistry read was like, we both left. And how chemistry reads work is like they'll pair you up, and they'll pair you up with other people and pair you up with another person, and they'll keep a couple people they like and tell everyone else to go home one by one. And we were like the last 2 in there, and we both pretty much knew this is probably ours. And sure enough, it was. So audition process, you always feel like you bomb it until you get it. That's kind of, not always, but
so how do you deal with that stress?
Yeah, I mean, it's
You
so
just forget
cliche,
about
but
it,
you
you
let
think?
it go. You go, I did what I thought I could do in the moment, and I hope they liked or saw something in that. You can't really take it home with you, because at the end of the day, there's another audition right around the corner.
Yeah. So then you book the show,
Book the show.
and then what happens?
So then I show up for the table read, and I'm surrounded by people who are Vine famous or influencers, or I mean, Finn from Adventure Time was our lead. Jeremy Shada, he's phenomenal and one of the hardest working, most professional people I know. So the table read was insane because I was just surrounded by young, talented, successful people, and I was this kid who just got off a catering job.
Yeah.
Very unsure of myself. And then it came time to film, and it was like all of these skills and all the technical notes and things I had worked on for the audition. Now it was like, oh my God, I have to apply this to every single day. And then it became more like Meisner, where it was like, okay, now that I booked the job, now I have to actually perform based off of the other people in this world. And I realized there's a balance. It's not just preparation. Audition technique is totally different than acting. That's the number one thing I learned. Like, they're 2 separate skills. Because I felt like I was kind of just doing the same thing over and over each take when I started acting. I was like, that's not acting, that's auditioning. You know, aiming for these goals.
Because you have a reader,
right?
And the function of the reader is just to spit the lines back at you.
Yeah.
So, but when you have another professional actor in front of you, they give you something back that you can react to.
100%.
You know, and so the Meisner comes in a lot more, and the relationships come in a lot more.
And then a weird thing is, like, I got to set, and I was talking to the rest of the cast. A lot of them were working. One of them was on Riverdale. And I asked them, like, what do you guys do for school or training or auditioning? And they were all like, I learned my lines in my makeup chair.
Is that really all that? Because if I was, like, on a show, I would just be like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I would so underplay everything I did. Like, I would just be like, yeah, it's easy for me. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a little bit of that.
Sure, yeah, there's a certain amount of that, I'm sure, but No, trust me, most of these guys were like, dude, why are you working
Well,
so
I will
hard?
say this: you look the most prepared out of everybody.
Wow.
So
You haven't seen the
if
show, have you?
yeah, I've seen both of them.
Okay.
So
That
if
was
they,
Mr. Student Body President then.
but no, you were still good in Millennium Mafia. But yeah, the fact that they learned their lines in the makeup chair shows. You know, I
Wow.
thought you were the most prepared one out of everybody. It seemed like you had a real grasp of your character. And it's like, I felt like you gave the type of performance where somebody would watch it and be like, yeah, I want to work with that guy, you know?
Wow, dude.
Whereas everybody else seemed like they were just like phoning it in for a paycheck almost.
Wow.
Aside from Amanda.
I hope none
Amanda
of them.
was amazing.
Amanda is,
yeah.
without a doubt, one of my
She was the
favorite.
best. She was better than you. No offense. She was definitely better than you.
Well, she also
But-
played twins on the show, so
She
she
was
got
incredible.
twice the opportunity.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Amanda's fantastic. Well, she's.
Oh, and
that's-
the other girl who was going for president, she was amazing too. The girl that was like competing with you, she
Arden.
was really good.
Arden's great.
Yeah, but all the supporting
that's,
cast
For the record,
was like.
that's your opinion. I think all of them are.
You think
fantastic.
everyone was great? I just
Yes.
watched it. I don't know
Yeah, no.
what any of them did.
Thank you.
And I'm
That
not
means
saying
a
I can
lot.
do better. Let's get that straight. I'm not saying I can do better, but you seem like the most prepared.
You know, everyone watches things and goes, I could easily do that. I'm guilty of that. But they don't understand that that person came up with what they did out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Once you've seen it, of course you can replicate it.
yeah,
But then when you realize, wait, that person just invented that performance out of nothing.
yep.
That's where it's mind-blowing.
I was thinking
Some
about
of
that
yeah.
today. I was thinking about some of like the performances that we see like Christian Bale giving, and it's like the only thing he had to work with was just black and white on a page.
That's true for
And
pretty much everyone.
Everybody, yeah. And so the fact that an audience member sees it, like you said, they can just be like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But it's like, even when you're in class and you're just looking at a script, it's like, how the fuck did they think of making these choices? You know?
I rewatch Pirates of the Caribbean at least once a year. And over COVID, I rewatched it, and I thought, how the hell did Johnny Depp come up with Captain Jack Sparrow? And of course, everyone does a Jack Sparrow impression now. There are people out there dressed like him on Hollywood Boulevard, pretending to be him. How do you do that and commit? And the whole world goes, we love that. We want to see 5 more movies of that. That is mind blowing. That is he should have won an Oscar. It's incredible. To
He was
think
great.
that came from black and white on a page, and that's what he came up with.
Yeah.
Imagine
Out of
showing
his
up to
head.
set and you're in a bandana and a wig with dreadlocks,
Dude,
and
it's
you're
so
like,
strange because like you can do like an impression of it, but it's just an impression, you know?
yeah.
Like,
Imagine doing
he's
that for
really
the
like
first time.
living through it.
I'm just saying, imagine being the
Yeah.
first person to do that. People would think you're insane unless you're incredible, and he was.
And it-
So
Goes through the whole film too, because it'd be one thing if you showed up on the first day and then you developed that character throughout the shooting schedule, you know. But he showed up on the first day committed,
yeah,
and he had to carry that level all the way through. So the first day he was already at that level.
and not to compare myself to Johnny Depp.
No, go
At
right
all.
ahead. You're as good as him.
You high?
Go ahead.
But with Student Body President, I came in with a character with a specific point of view who was very kind of dumb, and I hit some brick walls with the text. I would get my lines, and I was like, I don't know how to apply that same approach to these lines, and so it made me respect actors on a whole nother level who were able to carry a character throughout the whole script that actually tells a story and has a journey without breaking their character or like, destroying the foundation that they built it on.
Yeah.
That was very tricky to figure out. Which brings me to Millennial Mafia. That was the most testing experience of my life.
I love
think
your bar
ever.
scene in that show.
Did you
You're
really?
like, what did you say? You're like,
when it
cocaine?
ended?
I've never tried it.
Oh, that bar
What
scene.
did
Yeah.
you say?
I said, you loved it when it ended?
Nah,
Uh,
I wanted it to keep going.
thank you.
But
That
what was that? What was that line you said? You're like, huh?
I can
I do
casually do a
drugs.
drug.
I do drugs all the time.
I can casually do a drug.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, that was it.
That again, Leslie Kahn and Joel Johnstone. I coached with Joel 2 days for that, and I wouldn't have done it without him. I couldn't have.
Yeah.
And that was weird because the director Jack Ferry was also a director and producer on Mr. Student Body President. So I didn't even audition. I got called in for the director's meeting with there were only 2 or 3 other guys, and so I was like, okay, I really have to coach. So I ran lines with 3 different actors, and I coached with Joel, and I went in, and I think I was in there for an hour and a half. And by the time I left, I thought
The audition?
for the director's audition, the director's call. I came in with very specific notes, beats, and actions and thoughts like Leslie teaches and Joel taught me. And the first take, I felt like I nailed. I did all the things that I coached. And then he was like, now do it like you have no confidence. And I was like, oh, wow, I have to
That's
be
pretty
malleable.
against type for
I
you.
have to be malleable. And that's just as important as being prepared, as being able to be loose enough to do any direction, even if it's the opposite of what you've trained and coached. Thanks, by the way, for saying that's against type, because I feel like I only book the things where I'm a little bitch. Or
How do you
I
make
suck.
that? How'd you make that switch though? Like, I'm curious. Like,
From confident to not confident?
yeah, like
That's
for me,
easy.
it's like you gotta. Oh, okay.
Because
you inside you were already
inside
feeling
I'm already
not confident.
not confident. I'm in this.
You're just like, do what you're feeling.
I'm like, oh my god, thank God I can just be myself. I'm terrified right now. They hate me. Of course I can play not confident.
Yeah.
It's the opposite when it's hard. It's like, okay, now be the guy who's picked up every girl in the bar.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't even do that in real life. I can't relate to that guy. Yeah, so anyway, for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, I might be imagining that because it was very stressful.
Felt
for me.
like it, I'm sure.
But I left, and there were 2 other guys sitting out in the waiting room, and I was like, you guys got this.
You douche?
I failed that
I see what you mean.
horribly.
Yeah.
And I went in the parking garage, and I called my manager, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
I'm quitting.
I think Jack probably hates me or lost all respect. And then a week went by, and I got the call that I booked it, and I was mind blown. And then I showed up, and it only got worse from there. No offense to anyone involved, but me personally, I was like, I think my first day, my first line was the word "hey."
Oh.
And I think I did it 35 times.
Jeez.
And I realized auditioning, again, does not translate to acting.
Yeah.
I couldn't just play it the same way I did in the audition. I'm in a bar, in a nightclub, it's loud. I'm approaching this girl I know. The first day was like a middle of the season scene.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to know her already. I'm supposed to have met her friends, and I'm coming in like, hey, I've never met you guys. And it's like, no, you know her. And the entire production was basically me doing every line 35 times.
Didn't you say everybody was though?
There were a lot of notes.
More of that.
There was a lot of that going around. A lot of the actors felt like, dude, I should quit. I don't think I can. I think I suck. And the director, Jack, who's a great guy, obviously, I mean, he was really under the gun. I think they had a different director until 2 weeks until they started filming, and then he just had to take it all on. And I feel like that did not help.
It's a lot.
And there was some sort of weird stuff going on with the crew. There was a lot going on. There was a lot involved, which made me respect the process even more. Because you don't you book a job and you think, oh, that's it. It's daisies and sunshine from here. And you realize, no, there's a million other things that'll go wrong. On set, on the day, with your co-stars, with the crew, with the director, with yourself. And there's nothing you can do to stop that except be prepared. Thankfully, I knew my lines and I had ideas coming in. So I had that, but even then I watched that show, I watched the final edit, and I'm like, God, it's a miracle anyone ever cast me in anything ever again after that. It just feels horribly
Wow.
insincere to watch myself in that, because there were so many different directions I was going and getting that I had no idea who I was playing by the time I wrapped.
Yeah.
Like, the character was gone. I had no idea who I was. I was just saying the line the way I think it should have been said. And that's not a good that's good for auditioning, not for acting.
Yeah.
So that was a great learning experience, but it's hard for me to watch that.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Sorry for
So what's
rambling.
something that you didn't expect? Like when you were that wee boy, the 18-year-old, and you were like, I'm going to go be a fucking movie star. What's something that you were not expecting when you actually took the plunge?
I mean, where do I begin? I could have written a list and I'd still have things to add. Wow, what a fucking horrible question. I mean,
Is it too general?
no, that's fine. It's just there's a lot. I mean, I moved here straight out of high
Yeah,
school.
what's your moving experience?
Okay.
That's a good way to start a question.
Here's a little backstory. I was in ROTC, junior ROTC in high school for 4 years. My plan was to go in the military. My uncle, who worked in LA in commercial production and post-production, I called him because a while back I'd visited and I said I wanted to be an actor because as a kid that's all I wanted to be. But I didn't think that was a viable option. I mean, I lived in rural Pacific Northwest. That wasn't a thing. And when I called him when I graduated and I said I'd join the military, he said, I don't think you should do that. I think you should move down. I'll give you a job in post-production or as a PA, and you can try and pursue acting. And so I decided to give it a year in LA. And I mean, I'm 18. I'm right out of high school. I'm so sure of myself and confident. I'm flying high. I have my dream car. Thank God my grandpa financed that for me. I'm driving down, and I remember just feeling unstoppable. I just felt like like I was in a movie. It felt surreal. I'm going to LA, and I'm going to Sunshine, and I showed up, and it was like, you're a PA.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's done production work. It's a real wake up call that the glamour is not there. But at the same time, just being on set, I think I was on set within 5 days of being in LA
That's
as
good.
a PA, like right off the bat, and I just felt like, wow, this is amazing. Just being around a camera, and I remember when they'd set the camera up and it wasn't even running. If I stood in front of it, I felt like, oh, I felt this weird, crazy energy, or stupid. Just I was like, I'm in front of a camera. This is real. And as soon as I took my first acting class, I think I realized, nah, it's not that easy. Because I just thought you show up and you make it. I thought you'd walk down the street and get seen by someone and be like, oh my God, you're a movie star. Let me put you in this movie. Like I'm from a tiny town. I thought that's how it worked. I thought it was like the 50s. You just go to a milkshake shop and a producer tells you you're a star.
You're gonna be a big star.
With some sexual favors in return, which I
Of
also
course.
found out pretty quickly is not a great way to go.
But it is a real thing.
But it is a way to go.
It is a way to go.
That was my first manager meeting. This guy, I was at a Wendy's
shit.
and this guy showed up in a business suit. I should have known. He's in Wendy's. You don't take a business card from a guy at Wendy's. He's like, I'm a manager. You look like an actor. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to be an actor. I'm in class. And he's like, come to my office. We'll have a meeting. And I went to his office and he locked the door and told me basically there's only 3 ways you make it: money, fame, or sex appeal. And you don't have money and you don't have fame. So get naked right now.
Oh God.
Let me take some pictures or something. It was really awful and vague and horrible. And That was the wake up call when I realized it's not going to be an easy ride. Everyone wants something out of you.
Yep.
And basically it comes down to the work. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, so basically we said, what did you not expect? And you said, I had to give sexual favors to people. And I think that pretty much answered the question.
Yeah, that's what I didn't expect. I didn't expect I didn't expect it to be an actual work.
Yeah.
Or, any sort of real work. I thought you were either perfect for being an actor or you're not. And I didn't realize that there's a lot of gray space in between.
Yeah, because you see all these, like these, beautiful people on screen, and you're just like, oh, they just got put there.
They're not acting.
Yeah, they're just being themselves. That's what you think.
Yeah, you think, it's just
like,
so
no.
easy. It just flows out of you.
It's just because they're good actors.
No, it's because they're good at it.
But, yeah, no, that makes total sense. Are you producing anything right now?
Like I said, working on the short. Besides that, still writing. I do write from time to time. So I'm kind of in the middle of a feature that takes place in the Pacific Northwest that I'm really eager to tell. But I don't really want to talk about it until it's done.
Yeah.
Just because I find that if you talk about something too early, it stalls your motivation and momentum. Because then you express it. And once you express your art, it's like, okay, well, I did it.
Yeah.
I don't need to go tell that story. I already told it.
I'm kind of the opposite.
I know.
I feel like
you have to talk about it more.
I have to talk about it, and then I go do it because I put myself on the line,
It's a fine balance.
It's opposite of most people, I find. Because I'm like, I'm going to go do this, and then people are like, hey, didn't you say you're going to go do that thing? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I did, so I'm
Thank God
do it now.
That's what happened with our short.
Yeah.
Is that you and a few other people were like, why haven't you finished it? It's been a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but it's COVID, and I've had other things. Tough luck. Finish it. So thankfully...
Yeah, I mean, it's good that, I think the timing probably worked out, honestly, because you'll probably release it at a time where people are more likely to see it and more likely to share it. And once they see it, hopefully they'll want to work with you and things like that. So I think it's good. I think it all works out in its own time.
If I had finished it right up front, it would not be what it is right now.
No, it wouldn't have even been the same film.
No. It would have been much worse with a lot more to change.
Yeah.
And I would have been happy with that.
Yeah. I think that what you have now, though, is actually, it feels like a real substantial film now, as opposed to like, I made a short with a couple friends, and now it feels like a real structured screenplay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I love the idea of daily habits. I talked about this with Nate. I
know. I listened.
Yeah.
To it. Nate is a much more refined person than I am. He has got a lot figured out.
He's a very deep person, very substantial. Individual.
Not just that, but he's like he focuses on healthy habits, whereas I'm like
self-destructive.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
Some you balance it out.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Yeah. But yeah, one of my favorite books I've ever read is Atomic Habits by James Clear, where he talks about what does he say? You're the sum of I don't know.
Sum of all your habits.
It's basically like you don't rise to the level of what you want, you fall to the level of your habits. And that might actually be the quote.
Wow.
But so I'm really
to do.
What?
Got a lot of rethinking to do.
Yeah, so
being honest.
That's one of those life-changing books for me, where very foundational. So I always like to ask people, like, what are your habits that keep you focused on that goal? Because I think 20 minutes over 7 days is better than one day of however much 20 minutes times 7 is,
Yeah. Okay, daily habits.
Yeah.
I go to the gym almost every day.
That's important.
When I was filming Mr. Student Body President, I be there for 12 hours a day. I go every single day when we wrapped.
Yeah.
And my co-star told me I had a mental disorder for doing that. But to me, it was like, no, that's part of the character. And part of my motivation, and the gym helps so much. Even if you're not out benching yourself the week before, it's like at least you did something with your day that bettered yourself or made you feel productive and gave you those endorphins. So that's huge. But besides that, I do allow myself some room for creative thought, and I'd write things down every single day, whether it's writing music or just a quick, in my notes section on my phone, story idea or an episode idea or a show idea. So I think it's important to be open to new creative ideas every single day. Besides that, I don't really have a daily routine I stick to. Like I said, I try and go to the gym every day.
I mean, that's a big one, though.
Try and go to the sauna.
Honestly.
The sauna is a huge help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really... I try and cook my own meal. That's
I mean, those
too.
Definitely habits, you know?
Yeah.
Like working out and, you know, eating right are very, like, foundational habits. So...
At the end of the night, I always try and end on a good note somehow.
Yeah.
Whether it's watching something I'm proud of or watching something I identify with that makes me feel good. I have to have something positive to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
So I don't, because otherwise I'll just rack my brain hating everything about myself and life. If I, not to sound morbid, but yeah, you have to go to sleep on a positive note, find some way to feel good about your life.
Yeah, I think so. So I wanted you, last episode I talked to Nate about the having something after the audition that you're more excited about.
Yes.
And so I have you here.
You did say that.
So, and I kind of
quoted me.
I quoted you, but I think I misquoted you a little bit. So I wanted to give you the floor to kind of like clarify what you were saying.
I almost forgot about that. I was going to bring that up. I love the way Nate reacted to that. He's like,
It must have been something about the way that I said it.
Okay, so for the audience sake, if you didn't listen or you don't remember, Brady basically said, my friend Spencer says that every audition you should have something.
Well, the ones that go well,
more
or you book or something.
Sure, yeah. Just your approach to an audition. Basically, you should have something more important to do afterwards, so that, for one, you're not writing on this audition to save your life, and number two, so when you're in the room, the casting director is like, oh, that guy's not desperate for this role. He has something else. Like at the end, you just go, okay, thanks, bye, and you leave. To clarify, what I meant was you should have something else in your life that gives you a sense of purpose and value and validation that isn't acting related whatsoever. Nothing in the film business. You should have something to balance your life so that when you do go up for an audition, it's not like your whole sense of worth is on the line.
What would you say is normally that for you when you do go into it?
Specifically, what do I have going on in my life?
Well, when you I mean, I kind of do agree a little with what Nate was saying. I don't think he was even disagreeing with what you were saying, but giving that impression of not being desperate, you know.
Oh yeah.
So, but
that's important.
What do you usually think of when you are in those moments?
Self-taping and in-person auditions are totally different.
Yeah.
So this is really for in person. So at the time before COVID, I really didn't have much else in my life to be proud of, or so I felt. So I would have to kind of put myself in a mentality of like, this doesn't matter. Do your work, trust your work, your coaching, your rehearsing, and let it go at the end, and just peace out as soon as you can. Don't waste any more time. But now it's like, I actually do feel good about myself outside of acting. To the point where acting is like, doesn't define me anymore. Where I used to feel that way.
Yeah.
What was the question exactly? I'm kinda...
like just what was your thing afterwards? But I think you kind of answered it. Mine
Yeah.
was mine when I do
Sure,
that
go
for an example is I kind of agree with what Nate was saying, but he was saying a physical gesture, and for me what it is like I always like to imagine I'm about to go shoot a short film with my friends. Like I always like to imagine
Right.
that I'm gonna go like oh, I'm already filming right after this, so I need to get
Yeah.
to my filming. That's what I always
He
think
did
of.
kind of say, like, you don't have to have something more important going on. Just act as if that's
Yeah, you
your
could
life.
physicalize it.
Right, that's basically what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, when I was doing in-person auditions, I didn't actually have anything else going.
Yeah.
But
I always just pretend I do. Like,
I had a teacher at Leslie Kahn at the time who told me you should enter the room with a fun story or something to offer about your life that makes your life seem interesting to the casting director. Because a lot of the time, if you've been in multiple times, especially, they'll say, "What's new? What's going on?" You can say, "Oh, I just bought a new motorcycle. I've been riding around. It's awesome. I'm having a great time. You know, it's a triumph." And there you go. Something to go in so that your life seems interesting, so that you're not like, "Well, I've just been studying acting." And then you should leave the room with like, "Oh, I've got a meeting. I gotta go. Bye. Good to see you guys. See you next time." So that was a note some advice I got. From
or
an
with
acting
just the
teacher.
attitude of like, oh, I have a meeting, or
Right. It doesn't have.
You don't have to be like,
specifically
sorry
like,
guys, hate to do this
Are
to
we
you.
done?
Are we? I gotta get out of here, guys. Like, you done
want
with
another
me?
take? Are
All
you
right.
sure? I feel like we're good.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
I just meant if you do have something else going, it'll translate in your work.
Yeah.
You don't have to actively pursue something better. I just mean have a family, have a relationship, have a separate career. I don't like Tom Cruise as Scientology. That's not a great example.
Would you bring that up?
I'm just saying, like some actor, like
That's
Jeremy
funny.
Renner has a band.
Yeah.
Like lots
That's
of
something
people.
like
Jared
that.
Leto had a bit. I don't know if they're still
I
going,
think probably.
but everyone
Probably
has. He has a cult now, Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Like everyone has something going on outside of their acting career that gives them a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And that's very important. If you're writing on just your film career to give you a sense of purpose, you're going to probably fail and cry.
Yeah.
Because you're going to seem desperate, and you're going to feel desperate, and that's not a good place to be mentally.
Yeah. I think most people would probably agree with that, at least intellectually. You know, sometimes it's hard to do it, but I definitely think that that's a good point to keep in mind.
Because your confidence it's not just something you can put on. You need to have some sense of confidence as a person, as an adult.
Yeah.
Period.
I agree.
And that could be it could be acting class. Who knows?
Yeah. So
enough about that.
Yeah, exactly. Who are your favorite actors?
I'm pretty sure you know the answer to this.
I just want to know, though. I want everyone to know.
Okay.
All 8 people that listen to this podcast.
All 8.5 people.
Yeah.
My favorite.
I love you.
My favorite. Some good actors or my favorite actors? Because I have a different list. Or should I just combine them and tell you?
So this is actually more of the question I'm asking. So your favorite actors and why you admire them.
I'd love to. I got that. I have that one ready.
Yeah, go ahead with that one.
Tom Cruise, number 1.
Yeah.
It's not just that I feel like he's my long lost father that I never got to meet.
I think he is your father.
That was a rumor on the set of Mr. Student Body President that some of the extras thought was true. That's a fun other story I can tell you. That was an ongoing gag. Tom Cruise, I admire immensely because of in his early career, risky business. I mean, that is a kid that I identified with so much as a young guy in high school. Very vulnerable and meek and like, I don't know how I've never done this before. This is pushing the boundaries of what I'm allowed to do. Not just that, but he does all of his own stunts. Obviously, that's the number one thing people list. But he's such a hard worker. He's so committed, and he's incredibly kind to everyone he works with. As long as you're not in his personal life, from what I've been told.
He's probably just so focused on his career.
He's
that's a different level of human. Honestly, like
that is, he's another.
that's not
animal.
a normal like 9 to 5 type guy. You know, like that's a different type of think that goes on inside of his head. Like he's producing, he's acting, he's doing.
And while he's
all
in between
the other
takes, he's on the phone with another producer talking about the next project.
Yep.
Like that guy works harder than anyone, and I have so much respect for him. And he's incredibly talented.
I mean, you've met him once, right?
Not
Did you say
yet.
that he
No,
was on
never
set
met
with
him.
you?
Never met him.
I thought you said maybe that was someone else.
Someone else
that I know. I don't know who it was, but they said when he arrived on set, like they were waiting for him for a photo shoot or something. He was
that
like,
Will? I think it was Will.
It might have been Will. But he was saying that he was like maybe 5 minutes late. He went around individually to everybody to apologize for being late.
And
he
then
didn't have to do that.
And then bought them some crazy catering or something. Like
yeah, it was like
he
some
did something
thousands of dollar catering to like make up for it. Like that
was just super gracious and
went around to everybody to thank them for being there. Like that's to be that famous and still think about all the nuts and bolts of how your career works is like. I mean that's really cool to hear about.
Should I list a couple others?
Yeah. Keep going.
Ryan Gosling.
Yes. Yeah.
Love the subtlety. And his grounded approach.
Yeah.
And his stoic approach. Because I feel like, I mean, my manager the other day told me I have too many walls up, and I should probably be more expressive in emotions and raw emotions. And to me, it's like
I feel like the physicality of that is opposite though, because I do the same thing. Because we kind of have similar.
We're kind of like
that.
Man, we're kind of letting you in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we both put up a wall, and I feel like some of that is like maybe not drop it into our bodies a little bit more, Well,
I can tell you why that happens for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm naturally a pretty anxious, appearing neurotic person. I have a lot of thoughts. I think a lot and look around a lot, and I just have a lot going on as a physical person. So when I get a role, it's like if that doesn't suit the character, then I need to drop all of that and start from the beginning as a blank slate. That means stillness and eye contact, and don't move unless it's pertinent to the situation and the action and the line and the character. It's like, so I have to train myself or get into the zone where it's like, don't move. Don't even move your face, your hair, your face, your head. Because as you can see in this whole video, I'm talking with my hands, I'm moving my head around, I'm blinking a lot, I'm thinking a lot, I'm stuttering as I talk. It's like none of that can happen on camera unless that's the character. So for me, it's in my acting classes or training, it's like, do only what you're motivated to do. If the other person's actions, reaction, intention doesn't affect you to do that, then don't do it. That's kind of where that's coming from for me. And in real life, it's like if someone upsets you in real life, I'm not going to make a show out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to internalize it and take it out at a later time, which is a major reason why I think Ryan Gosling's performances are so great. Like in Drive, it's like the whole time he's still and stoic and nothing upsets him until his breaking point, and then it all gets released, and it's so satisfying to see him finally take all the anger out with the hammer or in the elevator.
Yeah,
it's
stomping
like
the guy's face in.
This is what I relate to.
Yeah.
I bottle it all up until it's time to let it out. That's fascinating. That's realistic.
Yeah.
You don't see that in film. You see people overreacting to everything that happens. I get so sick of that.
Yeah.
That's not how the traditional man works. And I'm still, we're all still trying to be a functional adult in real life. So I try and bring that into the acting, and apparently it doesn't work all the time. At least not for our age group. That's what I told my manager is like, I think the roles I'll be right for are not going to come until my 30s.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately. I'll be right for some stuff in the meantime. I'll book some stuff, but Spencer, is going to be a lot more successful. I'll fall into this world a
It's
lot
your
better
casting.
when I'm older. My casting will happen better when I'm older. Because, yeah.
Did you want to keep talking about your favorite actors, or?
No, we can move on. I'll
Okay.
just mention a few names: Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, Jason Bateman, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin. I'm missing a lot of people. Obviously, Gary Oldman. Yeah. I got a few, but I'll think of them by the end. I'll wrap it up with that.
I'll list
Rest of the
mine.
names.
I like Tom Cruise a lot.
Good.
Ryan Gosling is one of my favorites of all time. Christian Bale's probably my top.
Obviously.
I mean, he's probably my number one. I'm, riding on that Leo dick all the way to the grave.
Leo's great.
He's probably no. Christian Bale and Leo probably 1 and 2 in various orders as they come out with new movies. Still love Brad Pitt. He's very stoic. I would say he's very stoic of an actor.
He's become... he's always kind of been that way, I guess.
Yeah. I think he has a reality and a groundedness to him. I wouldn't say he's like the best character. Like, he doesn't transform all the time, but I think he does a very grounded reading most of the time.
He's very entertaining to
Very
watch.
consistent.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Really.
Who else? This is controversial. I'm gonna say it. You ready for this? This hot take. I'm not the hugest fan of Daniel Day-Lewis.
I think it's because of the work he chooses to do.
That could be it.
I think that he's phenomenally talented and hardworking, but his films are not all that entertaining.
I think that might be it, actually.
And I think it's Stanley Kubrick when he was directing Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman in Eyes Wide Shut. He said, "I don't want realism. I want this movie. If people wanted to watch a realistic movie, they'd watch a documentary."
Yeah.
And I think that's
a good point.
You're there to create a world. It doesn't all have to be realistic or method. That being said, he's phenomenal to watch and entertaining on his own because he's so
he commits. He definitely commits.
Yeah, he commits 100%. But his movies, like I said, they're not. You don't leave the theater going, "Oh my god, I can't wait to tell everyone else to watch this entertaining film."
I can't wait for another Daniel Day-Lewis.
Can't wait for another There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
That's gonna make me.
That's gonna make me so happy.
For a week.
I'm gonna be so happy after another one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was because I was first exposed to him in history class through the movie The Crucible.
Same.
And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who actors were. This was back in 8th grade or something. Miss Wilson, shout out Miss Wilson if you're still with us. And
shout out Miss McIntosh, my English teacher.
Yeah. So back, when I saw that movie, it was just this guy doing all kinds of crazy shit. And I was like,
"It is my name."
It is a bit much for me.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was like a B movie. When I saw it, I was like, this is not good. But it's like a classic. People love
everyone's
that movie.
Fantastic in it. But why did it seem like a B movie? Because it's not a movie you go, "Oh, I'd line up in the theater to watch this."
And I always feel bad saying that, but I don't know. I think what you said is right.
But it's not one you're like, "Guys, have you seen this? We should watch this right now."
Yes.
Which is, they're two separate things.
Yeah.
Leo, to me, always delivers an interesting performance, and he's phenomenal. But for once, I'd like to see him not react to something. Does that make any sense?
It does, actually.
I feel like he reacts to everything, which is what most people want to see, but I'd love to see him struggle with
a drive.
I'd love to see him in a drive. I'd love to see him do a Ryan Gosling role. Play it like Ryan Gosling and Leo.
That would actually be really cool. I'm sure he could do it.
I feel like everything he does is
he's holding something.
I'm gonna freak out right now.
Yep.
It's like, dude, why don't you just not react? See if
Yeah,
that's
man.
an interesting choice.
That's a good point.
But what do I know? All right, what were you gonna say?
Um, I kind of wanted to. So me and Nate talked about like morning pages, and it verges on you know religious or spiritual or whatever.
Sure.
So I was gonna ask you like what do you take anything from like a higher power or whatever? Or you I know you talk about stoicism a lot, so I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to just dive into that a little bit. Like, what are your thoughts on those topics?
Spiritually and just how to approach life.
Yeah, just like what are do you feel like those types of things help you, or do you feel like you're pretty self sufficient? Uh, no, I mean
No.
like just
Um,
I know a lot of actors are very spiritual, and it doesn't
yeah.
necessarily mean they're Christian or whatever. But our career does depend a lot on things we can't control. So I kind of
Well,
wanted to see your thoughts on that.
when I all right, I was born into a Jehovah's Witness family
Okay, that's interesting.
till I was 4 or 5.
Hmm.
My mom remarried. He was her next husband was an atheist, total opposite. Then we went to church. We were Episcopalian, Presbyterian. Then they divorced. Then I moved on back to atheism. Then slowly became great friends and family with Christians, and then moved to LA, back to Jehovah's Witnesses, and then basically, um, I didn't have a place to appreciate spirituality or religion for the majority of my life, and I kind of just thought it's this and nothing, and there's no in between. And over the past 6 years, I'd say I've come to appreciate another level of having kind of a bigger faith in what's going on, and I've seen a lot of uh, positive and negative things happen that can affect people pretty deeply. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think the point is, I do have a place for spirituality in my heart, and uh, I become a lot more open to religion, a lot more open to faith, and I do pray. I do believe in a higher purpose. I think that's been proven to me in my life. And however you want to put it, whether it's the universe or God, I think it's definitely there to help you. And I think there is a reason that there are these rules or guidelines that exist for life, and it's not just to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
It's that there are consequences for your actions. And I think before I didn't think there were really consequences. And I now more than ever, I think your choices don't just affect you, they affect society.
Mm.
And they also affect you. And the way society moves affects the way you move and vice versa. And I think it's so important to not follow the rules, but have a understanding of what you're doing affects everyone. So, and that the choices you make affect yourself. Sorry to draw that out.
No, that's all very valid.
You know, yeah, I think you have to take responsibility. That's what it really is. You have to take responsibility for your own thoughts and actions. And if you can, at the end of the night, pray or think on them or meditate or whatever it is you do, and realize like I have to hold myself accountable. That is huge. Whereas
Yeah.
you can't just be free willy nilly and think that everything's just whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And the same thing comes with acting. You can say I'm going to do whatever I want, and they're going to like it or not, or you can try and better yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do meditate, and I do definitely pray, and I hope that I'm confident that it does make a difference, because when you do that, it forces you to look at yourself and your actions and say, I'm going to do better, I promise. Whether it's to yourself or something higher, that's important.
Yeah. I always find that like speaking to that like that abyss into your mind. That idea of like you're sending something up. That feeling of like
Yeah.
you're speaking to yourself, but you're not expecting an answer. Um, Inside your own head. I think there's a lot of power in that because there's a level of concentration I think that goes into that level of thought that can't help but manifest itself in the things that you see around you. Like if you're constantly focusing on one thing and so concentrated on that thing, it can't help but to, manifest itself. And I don't really believe in like law of attraction and like
Oh,
if
I
you
I do.
no, but I mean like there are people that believe in it. Like if you genuinely think about something without putting in any work
Oh no,
whatsoever,
that's different.
but that's what I mean is like if you think about it without taking any action whatsoever, shit's gonna come to you. I don't believe in that at all.
No.
But I think there is a level of like concentration within yourself that something in your brain starts noticing opportunities around you and you start seeing things in life around you that start bringing those opportunities into your life. And meditation's very similar, and I think for me that's what a lot of spirituality is that idea of like connectedness with the world around you, the people around you, with society, and like what you said, responsibility. I think all those are like super important.
Yeah, I think too many people underestimate the power of their own choices. I think they think it doesn't affect anyone,
Yeah.
when in reality, everything you do affects everyone in the world.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of responsibility that no one seems to want to take.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
as far as law of attraction goes, there are very, very strange particular things I've wanted in life that have gone on to happen because I was simply mentally focused and prepared for them to happen.
Yeah.
Like if you if you manifest the an opportunity arising, then you're going to prepare for it when it happens.
True.
And then when somehow that arrives, you're already prepared because you expected it.
Yeah.
And then it happens.
That's so true.
You know. Yeah.
So I wanted
Speaking
to
something into existence means you're preparing for it to be a reality. And then when it presents, you're there. You're ready.
Yeah, what do they say?
Prior preparation prevents piss
Lucky.
poor performance.
Oh, that's the military one.
Oh,
No, the
luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. So I wanted to close it out, and I wanted to ask you that same question that I asked Nate. So what's something that you wish you could have made yourself understand when you were just starting out in an industry?
Oh, if I could talk to myself when I started, I think I'd say, don't try to be other people. Try to be a better you. Don't mold yourself into being Tom Cruise or Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling. Don't look at what they're doing going, I'm going to copy that. Instead, look at yourself and try and be a better version. You can't be someone else that's going to that's going to take a lot of energy and focus away from yourself. You got to, when I started out, I used to look at the greats and think, all right, I'm going to do that. It's like, no, you should have just focused on bettering yourself.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
all I got. That's all I can think of.
Well, thank you for coming on to the podcast today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. If you guys like this episode, make sure that you write me a review. It would make me the happiest person in the world, and I will love you forever. Is there something you wanted to say?
Make sure and watch Mr. Cinemani. No. Don't watch anything I've done.
Is that a little reverse psychology?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you
Don't
go.
look me up on IMDb.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys next time, or you will hear me next time. Bye.